I'm Elliot Ty, and I'm going to tell you about how I trained an AI to play a video game. I used C# and Unity to create the game, and I used ML agents and the PyTorch Python library to train the model. I'd always seen videos about training an AI to play a game, and I played this game Risky Road as a kid, and I wondered if I could train an AI to play this game. So the first step was to create the game in Unity, so I had some way of getting the model to interact with it. So I created this game with a truck and the egg in the back, and the score is based on how far the egg travels. The truck is controlled with the space bar. When you press it down, it accelerates, and when you let off, it decelerates, and those are the only controls. And then the terrain, there are 6 different pieces that are randomly selected and linked together to form the map. And then the next step was to get some way for the model to interact with the game. So I used an ML agent script, and so the first thing is the model has to have some way of sensing what's going on in the game and have inputs. So we have sensors here. So I have raycast in front of the truck pointing downward, and when they intercept the ground, they stop. So based on the length of these lines I have out in front of the truck, the model is able to tell what kind of terrain is coming ahead. And then there are other sensors like speed, and then the egg's position relative to the truck, and then if the wheels are touching the ground or not. And then the next thing is the model is able to control the truck. Based on its decision, we set the variable in the truck controller. Accelerating could be false, and depending on that, the truck acts accordingly. And then the next thing is we have rewards. So the model is rewarded for doing behavior we want and punished for doing things we don't want, and it tries to maximize the reward, and in the end we end up with a model that acts how we want it to. So at first I just had one reward at the very end that depended on how far the egg had made it, because that's the goal of the game, is to get as far as possible. But this didn't really work because the model didn't really associate the one big reward at the end with its actions. So instead, we give it small rewards at often. So we have a reward based on how far it traveled since the last decision. We punish it if it's tilted too far forward or backward, and then we punish it if the egg gets too far out of the bed of the truck. And then we also punish it when the game's over, which means the egg hit the ground. And then we have to encourage it to move, because if you don't do this, it'll get too scared and just sit still. And to avoid these punishments, so you have to encourage it to move forward. And then that still didn't work great because the model wasn't able to remember far enough back in time. So like when it went off a jump and got tilted in the air and I punished it, it didn't remember how it went off the jump, so it wasn't able to learn how to do it differently. So I allowed it to remember farther back in time, and once it was able to remember back a few seconds and the rewards were more correlated to its behavior, it was able to then learn and figure out how to maximize those rewards, and we ended up with this model over here. And this model is able to play the game better than I can, which I think is pretty good.